Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 8, Episode 46, overall 431 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give the dealership a call at 519-824-0210. Or email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern sports, the home of Southern talk in sports, the heartbeat of Atlanta. I hope everyone's doing well on this Tuesday, September 10th. 2024. This is my third show in a row, and I hope you guys can check out my Argo Bounce live audio show I did Sunday night with Nick Small, talking about the Argos and previewing their game against the BC Lions, and also check out my show last night, yesterday afternoon, with stand-up comedian Linda Belt as well, and that was quite good, and it's available on all major platforms if you'd like to watch or listen to those shows. I am looking forward to my guest tonight. I'm just waiting for him now. Tonight's guest is Pat Bernard. He has been with the Edge of Philly Sports and their podcast, and as a reporter for the past 6+ years, talking Philly sports, Philadelphia Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, and Pat, I should call him Pat, covers the Philadelphia Wings of the National Cross League as a reporter. So Pat joins tonight. We're going to talk strictly about the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles and their 34-29 win over Green Bay, and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly in that game in Brazil. And one of the bad things was the field conditions there as well. So I'm really excited to have Pat on for the fourth time, and we're going to talk some Philadelphia Eagles football. Good evening, Pat. How you doing?
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing okay. A busy time of the year. We got the Canadian Football League going on, college football on here in Canada and the States, and of course the start of the National Football League season here.
Yeah, it's been, how can I put this, in the Philadelphia area? Even though the Birds are 1-0, it feels like an 0-1 team. It's weird. It's one of the weirdest feelings. I mean, because the Philadelphia Eagles this past weekend, if you look across the NFL, put up probably the most points, and yet if you
it didn't feel like a win.
It didn't feel like a win if you have conversations with people, because I guess people are looking for straight dominance against this Green Bay Packers team. But people forget that tail end of last year, the Green Bay Packers went on a run. And listen, Jordan Love is a playmaker, a young quarterback who's going to get his. He's one thing about the Green Bay Packers franchise. If you follow since Brett Favre, they sneeze out franchise quarterbacks. I mean, it's not too much. I mean, you go around NFL to NFL, look at franchise after franchise. I mean, as long as I've been around, 3 decades. I mean, I've only seen Favre, Rodgers, and now Jordan Love come through that organization. I could give you handfuls of franchise quarterbacks I've seen come through the Philadelphia Eagles and so forth. Yeah. So, but so like I said, a win's a win. I'll take it. And look, it's 1-0 at the end of the day, and now we're just getting ready for Monday Night Football.
It's better to win ugly than to lose pretty. And the thing is, there's no gimme games in the National Football League. I don't care what your record is. Every team in the NFL can be beaten on any given day. And the Green Bay Packers are one of the top teams in the NFC. And it wasn't like they beat a bad team.
No, and you're right.
Go ahead, Pat.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, people forget Green Bay is an up and coming team. Again, they're young. Um, it sucks because you got to see a good quarterback play between Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts. Regress. People are still around here not too thrilled. You would think talking to people around here that Jalen Hurts put up 3 interceptions or 4, and he only put up 2. But they forget the 2 TDs that he put up. He forgets the dynamic plays that he made with the connection he made with AJ Brown. AJ Brown had 5 catches for 119 yards. Explosive plays with Saquon Barkley. I mean, stuff out backfield. But people forget that they just see the 2 bad interceptions that he threw, and it was just like doom and gloom from there. The guy put up 278 yards of throwing.
20 for 34, 278, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. You know what's funny? When Josh Allen of the Bills has those same numbers, that's okay. That's good. But Jalen Hurts gets it. Oh, he's terrible. And you know what bugs me is everybody says, oh, Hurts is set up to win. But Josh Allen, and don't get me wrong, Josh Allen's a great quarterback. But it seems like in Buffalo, Josh can do no wrong. But if Allen makes or Hurts throws an interception or a fumble, terrible. And I'm like, Josh Allen leads the NFL in turnovers since 2019. And by the way, Josh Allen has never taken his team to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is. And I feel Jalen Hurts gets disrespected. You know what? He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Tom Brady has made mistakes. Patrick Mahomes has made mistakes. Joe Montana. But Pat, I think because of social media, it gets scrutinized so much more than it did growing up in the 70s and 80s with guys throwing interceptions and fumbles. I'm not making excuses. Jalen has to do a better job protecting the ball going against Atlanta. And generally, you're not going to win a football game most of the times when you turn the ball over 3 times. But everybody's expecting Jalen Hurts to be perfect, and that's impossible.
No, and you're right. Look, does he have things he's got to clean up? Absolutely. Does he got to do his reads, his check downs a little bit better? Absolutely. Does he got to read the defense a little bit better? Absolutely. But like you just said, 2 years ago, this guy who came off the bench, people. First of all, let's talk. If you're going to talk Jalen Hurts' story, people complain about the good old Carson Wentz getting replaced for Jalen Hurts, and they're like, "Oh, he'll never be," because what the year that Carson had, a couple years prior to that, taking us to on that magical run, he was again runner up for MVP. We all know his story, but again, you looked at that 22 season again. Jalen Hurts, a runner up for MVP. Last year again he progressed a little bit. The playbook wasn't exactly as sharp. I take that's where my frustrations came in was the play calling from Nick Sirianni. So, and then the only thing that they really executed on last year was the tush push. But now now that the playbook's in Kelly Moore's hand, we all know Kelly Moore's story from being with the Chargers and the Cowboys. The only thing I spoke with a Cowboys friend, a good friend of mine, but the only thing I wonder is what is his playbook going to look like come playoff time, because that's where the Kelly Moore playbook usually crashes. So, but for right now, like I said, high scored offense. I like to spread the ball around. AJ Brown got involved. Nice, made some nice throws to Devontae Smith. Just again looked around, and like I said, the 2. Yeah, I will say, yeah, that's what people scratching their heads about, like, because it looked like it was dead on into the cornerback's hands, and it's just like, come on, you got to play a little better than that.
The defense bent in this game, but they didn't break. And what I thought was key was the Eagles' offense, similar to last year, got off to a real bad start, slow start. The turnovers, obviously. Green Bay could have easily been up 14-0, but the defense held and kept them in at 6-0. So I'm hoping against Atlanta on Monday Night Football at Lincoln Financial Field, the Eagles come out and get off to a much better start, because I found that was a theme last year, having bad starts in the first quarter, first half. And I really think they need to get Barkley, who had a hell of a game against the Packers, involved right away, get that running game going, and then set up the passing attack.
Well, it's funny because I think the Birds are going to be fine. You talk about the defense, and credit to Zach Bond, who all Philadelphia right now is talking about, who came out of nowhere making big plays, 2 sacks. He made 1 sack coming off the edge. I mean, he looked really good. He's going to be fine here. He made some plays. I still want to see a little bit more. Let's see what he does on Monday Night Football. However, you're going to face Kirk Cousins come Monday Night Football, and Kirk Cousins' record against the Philadelphia Eagles 6-5. He's 3-10 on Monday Night Football. So that's where it falls in the Birds' favor. I've seen him struggle against the Birds in prime time. I feel confident, but then again, listen, that Falcon team, they do have some weapons like B.J. Robbins, guys like that. They're explosive. You have to keep your eyes on. But yeah, when you're dealing with when you're talking about the Eagles' defense, look, listen, on paper, look, you saw they gave up X amount points. That's fine and dandy. But however, they stepped up. And you saw in the first 2 opening drives, even on the turnovers that the Birds have off the interception of Jalen Hurts, off the fumble, they were still able to hold the Green Bay Packers to just only 6 points. Granted,
that was huge.
Huge, and the Green Bay Packers didn't help themselves. I mean, they had tons of penalties against themselves. I mean, that's where they shot themselves in the foot. So, but however, like I said, the only thing that worries about. There were some holes I saw from the secondary that were leaving guys wide open. The couple of guys like Josh Jacobs were just running, gashing this defense, the running defense. So that to me was a little worrisome. But ultimately, look, Vic Fangio, and listen, this can all be rust from not playing, not having your starters in the preseason either, right? So you can, now they have game 1 under their belts. Let's see what they do game 2. Let's see what Vic Fangio dials up here, coming into the game at home, officially at home. So it should be rock and rolling come Monday night.
I'm still worried about that secondary because they're very inexperienced. I thought Quentin Mitchell did okay, but I really do think they need the veteran presence on the secondary. And you know what? I wanted to mention this too. I know we're all against preseason football, but when none of your starters play in preseason football, then you expect them to play 4 quarters, 60 minutes.
Yeah,
I know these are professional athletes, but these guys need to get work. There was rust in that game, and it looked like a preseason game at some points.
Yeah, and Chris, you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, this is 3 games without no stars are not getting their feet wet. They're just resting on the side. And it showed, right? It showed the fatigue. It showed some, hey, listen, live bullets coming at you are a whole lot different from practice and all that stuff. So they should have had some playing time in preseason, in which they didn't. So look, it hurt them a little bit. So, but listen, like I said, they got to get together here. They got to get now they got a little taste of real action. Let's see what they do Monday night in prime time here in Philadelphia.
I know the Eagles are going to miss Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce, but there's no disrespect to Fletcher Cox. He had a great career in Philadelphia, but I really think the presence and leadership and the calmness of Jason Kelce is going to be really missed, and Cam Jordan's has got big footsteps to replace Jason Kelce. Are you convinced, and Philadelphia fans convinced, Cam Jordan's can be the center for this team going forward? Because I still have a gut feeling at some point they might be talking to Jason Kelce halfway through the season about coming back. I have a gut feeling about that.
Listen, they may, have that conversation, but listen, again, the miscommunication early in the game, you saw Hurts and Jurgens talking on the sidelines and, trying to square that up. But listen, I still need to look, like you said, it's really going to be hard to fill. You got pretty much a Hall of Famer in Jason Kelce and you got to follow that up. And if anything, I hope to God that Jalen Hurts, the Jurgens learn something from Kelce and try to follow his footsteps, because if not, listen, one thing around this football team, you will be replaced sooner rather than later. So, especially, 1-0, you're looking, expectations, you want to be back to where you want to be. You want to be back in the Super Bowl. Yes, sir. Last year was, you backpedaled a lot. You felt you collapsed, after the Niners game. We know the story. After that Niners game, it was a day of reckoning after that. So, then they walked into the playoffs and then they got crushed. So they're trying to look, shake things up. But Jurgens has to play better. He's got to be better under center. And listen, you got to protect your quarterback at all times. So, I mean, other than that snap, I thought he did okay.
That last drive of the game, where they ended up settling for a field goal, that was huge. They ate up 5.5 minutes or 6 minutes of the clock right there, and they left the Packers basically no times. And Jalen Hurts doesn't get enough credit. We know he's a great athlete, but everybody talks about Josh Allen being a physical player. Jalen Hurts, in one of those runs, he took a couple guys with him, and this guy wants to win. He's not perfect, but neither was Donovan McNabb. And to me, I think Kurtz, okay, he overcame his mistakes, didn't let it bother him, and they led him to the win. 34 points, and they still won the game. And one thing too, I'd like to see Devontae Smith get a little more involved earlier in the game. And Dallas Goddard only had 4 catches. It's going to be tough for Kellen Moore to make sure this offense is well balanced because you got so many weapons on this offense.
Right.
You want to make sure you use them all, and you don't want guys coming up. You want a balanced attack is what I'm trying to say. And it's not going to be easy to try to please everybody here. And I do really like Barkley, but I also like the fact that he got Gainwell, and I think Gainwell can be very valuable backup running back as well too.
Yeah, and listen, you're right. Listen, that's going to be the best thing about this Birds team because week after week, all right, let's shut down AJ Brown. Okay, when you're shutting down AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, now you can mix more and more Dallas Goddard into your playbook. Getting him the one-on-ones you're looking for, getting him wide open, stuff like that. And then you, like you said, you got Gainwell, you got Barkley. If you saw Friday's game, they were running the double running back set. So I mean, you got playmakers out of the backfield too, so you can run it over, do your RPOs, find guys, make those dink and dunk passes that you want, getting your 10, 20-yard runs, all that stuff. So yeah, you have multiple options for this, for Jalen Hurts. And to your point, that's like I said, a lot of people get on him, but people forget this kid can squat 500 to 600 pounds. So the tush push comes in his favor, not so much on Friday, but come a little later down the road. He's going to be, doing what he's done his best. He's going to be able, like you just said, take some players and go with him as he goes for the first down or the touchdown.
Did they say how long James Bradbury is going to be out? Because I know he was under criticism and fire last year, but he's still a veteran presence in that secondary.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be funny to see how long he's going to be out for. And again, Dallin White, his due being out there. So it's going to be interesting to see if they got a spot for him. I mean, I get it. They're going to probably mix him in plays and all that stuff. But I can't – if they got other kids are going to come up here and make some plays, how much playing time does he really have?
Leads to my next question. How huge of a free agent signing was running back Saquon Barkley coming from the New York Giants? And how good is he? Does he remind you a little bit of LaShawn McCoy, Shady?
Not so much. I mean, Shady could go left to right. He was a East and West runner. What I'm seeing out of Saquon for so far is he's a north and south runner. He's smash mouth. He'll run right at you. But he's playing like he's a rookie. Last time he put up 3 TDs was his rookie year, and back in November, I think November 18th of 2018. No, November 22nd, 2018 was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was the last time he put up 3 TDs. Well, you kind of got that same atmosphere. I mean, he was explosive. He was just run the ball down. Myself was curious to see if the Penn State alum still had it in him, and he did. He answered, he answered the bell. He came through, making plays out of the backfield. You saw the 1 TD pass that he caught, was fantastic. It was absolutely great to see him, do his thing. Again, just power ball that, it's like I said, 3 TDs, absolutely amazing for Saquon Barkley. And I think the future is very bright here for Philadelphia. And listen, this is a team he grew up loving. So when you throw in a team that you grew up loving, your hometown team, there's nothing much better than that.
First Eagle in his debut to get 3 touchdowns in a game since Terrell Owens did that in 2004. That was 20 years ago. My only concern is he's had an injury history, so I'm hoping he can last most of these 17 games because I think he's huge. This team, to me, should have, if not the best, probably in the top 3 offenses in the National Football League if everybody stays healthy, and they should be able to win a lot of games. But I was going to say, obviously, the Eagles and the Philadelphia media expect this team to be a Super Bowl contender, but the Niners, looking last night without Greenlaw and McCaffrey, destroyed the Jets. They're going to still be in the hunt. The Detroit Lions, they're in the hunt. The Rams have a good team. The Packers, this is not going to be easy to get out of the NFC this year with these teams.
No, not, and you're absolutely right. Listen, the 49ers beat the brakes off the Jets yesterday. They did a tremendous job. Well, like I said, without their key players, you look at that, Detroit Lions will be there, are always going to be there. But if the team that no one's, laying in the weeds, everyone thought they were going to be doomed, all doom and gloom. The Cowboys, they walked into Cleveland, they took care of business. Their defense looks solid, and you have to keep. If you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, hey, listen. I know, like around here, Cowboys, Eagles, the love-hate relationship goes back as long as I can remember. But to be real, to keep it real, those Cowboys looked pretty good on opening on Sunday. So, you have to keep your eye on the Cowboys, on Dak, and what those guys over there are doing. So, listen, a good win for those guys as well. So, the NFC East might come down to the Birds and the boys, but not so worried about the Giants. Daniel Jones getting humiliated after the game. I mean,
they're a mess. They're a complete mess. They're a dysfunctional franchise right now.
Yeah,
and those uniforms look like the Montreal Canadiens uniforms too.
yeah. So I'm not really sold on the Giants. I'm not sold on the Commanders. A couple of weeks ago, I took my family down to Ocean City, Maryland. Got to catch up with some Maryland, some DC sports, and for those guys to be all hyped about Zach Ertz trying to find this youth fountain of youth somewhere, and he's going to be this playmaker he was back in 2017. It told me everything I need to know. So, they might come around in the next couple of years, but right now it's going to be a birds and boys division right now.
By the way, both the Ohio teams are a mess. The Cincinnati Bengals, why did they let Joe Mixon go? He just had like 125 yards for the Texans, and he's a pretty solid running back. They lost to New England. I know the Patriot fans are getting carried away, but the Bengals, big disappointment on Sunday, and the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. He's just a total mess. And I'm sort of glad now he never came to Philadelphia. I'm really glad the Eagles stuck with Jalen Hurts and didn't bring Deshaun Watson to Philly.
Same. And I remember that conversation. A lot of guys wanted, Watson being over here, Deshaun Watson being over here. And just like you said, Chris, I'm kind of glad that he didn't come over here. I'm kind of glad they just rode out with Jalen Hurts. And look, long run, it's worked out for the Birds. Cincinnati to me is wow. You go from being this Super Bowl contender to kind of, hey, are they going to be back in it? And listen, they might come back down the line somewhere, but right now,
bad start. One game. It's only one game, but to lose at home to a bad football team in the New England Patriots. Credit New England's defense and Jared Mayo for getting them ready to play. But I really expected the Bengals to blow them out in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Bengals rebound against Kansas City this Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium.
You could possibly look at 0-2, and that's three more losses after that. You pretty much are looking at next year. You know what I mean? And that's pretty bad. So and when you look at the upcoming schedule, I mean, this Sunday, you got the Giants and the Commanders locking horns, and right away, someone in the East is going to drop to 0-2. I mean, again,
I think it's the Giants. I think the Giants are going to drop the 1-2.
Yeah,
as bad as Washington is, I think the Commanders are going to win that game.
Right. I mean, listen, it's turned out to be the Giants and the Carolina Panthers are going to be in a battle for the basement.
Absolutely. Hey, Pat, I want to get to some more questions here.
Sure.
What were your thoughts on the field conditions at that stadium in Brazil, using a combination of grass and field turf for soccer?
It's weird because everyone, like all the experts, I guess you would say, said the grass conditions were fine, and then what I saw, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's pupils were saying, these guys are slipping and sliding all over the place. So I didn't like that. And you saw it during every time they showed you the sidelines, the team was, find a way, they were drilling in new cleats. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they were trying to quickly come up with some suggestions. So I wasn't a fan of it. just if you're going to say this thing is clear and ready to play, you got to make sure you're really you got to say what your word there, because it's scary, because that could, again, leg injuries could take place, and only one guy took place, but that wasn't because of the field. That obviously Jordan Love goes down because of he gets sacked, he gets wrapped up and he comes down wrong, and now he's going to miss 3-6 weeks with a sprained leg, so he's going to be out.
Do you feel the National Football League needs to do a better job with these international games? Make sure the field is in perfect condition, because these guys are it's an investment. These guys are $1 million multi-millionaires, and it is a business. And to me, they should be having the best field conditions possible.
Well, the same conditions cost the Eagles the Super Bowl back a couple of years ago. I mean, if you remember,
in Arizona,
they were slipping and sliding out there. So, and I get it. Field conditions is part of the game. And these guys play in snow. These guys play in rain. So I get that too.
All right. Well, let's see. We'll go to this next question. Pat, what was the good, the bad, the ugly, and the Eagles win over the Green Bay Packers?
Good, Saquon Barkley being a beast out there, putting up 3 TDs. The bad, Jalen Hurts' 2 turnovers. The ugly, the Eagles' defense giving up a bunch of points. Double digits were, that's not good either. You can't give up X amount of points either.
Any chance the Eagles bring back Hassan Reddick? Apparently, he won't play for the Jets. I know he's talented, but I don't know if I'd want to bring him back to the Eagles.
I don't know if, again, I'm kind of, listen, it depends where you're at in the standings. I mean, because the guy is a playmaker, and if you saw, he kind of led the team in sacks and tackles last year. So I do want that in here. But I mean, right now, you got a good chemistry, got a good flow. It feels like there's something there in this locker room. The chemistry and the flow is good right now. People are responding and all that stuff. There's light in the locker room. I don't know if I want that back here either. But like I said, if desperate times come for desperate measures, if you're at, you're fighting for a wild card spot and I need a playmaker out there. Yeah, listen, I don't care. And listen, he might be a problem and all that stuff. Bring him in. We'll take care of all that and let him play. Let him do his thing.
What's your thoughts on the dynamic kickoff rule, I guess, from the XFL? I'm a CFL fan, and I love our special teams element. It seems to me the NFL is getting rid of special teams. To me, I'm not a fan of it because I love seeing kickoff returns, and I don't know. I wanted to get your thoughts, Pat, on that.
I get it, because these guys, they're getting faster. Every generation's getting faster, stronger, all that stuff. But however, like you said, that's part of the game. That was the part of the game that you and I grew up loving and watching. Seeing somebody catch a 99-yard punt returner, and drive, return it and driving all the way down and making some, that's what's, to me, is interesting. Seeing, if you can make it from one end of the field to the other without getting hit. And some plays you get away with it, and it's explosive and exciting to watch. Like I said, I totally get, like you just said not too long ago, these guys are multimillionaires. They don't want to be, banged up after they retired and all that fun stuff. So I totally get that as well.
I am in favor of the Guardian caps. I know the CFL, they use them too, and they had a player with Saskatchewan that used them, and I believe there was a player this week for the New England Patriots that wore it. So I'm all in favor of the Guardian caps. That's not an issue, but to me, I like the kickoff. I like the kickoff returns. It's one of the most exciting parts of a football game, and the NFL, I don't know. There's things about the NFL I like over the CFL, and there's stuff about the CFL I don't like about the NFL. 2 things I hear constantly: the Rouge and the CFL people can't stand. I can't stand the fair catch in the National Football League. So I love both games, but there's rules in both sports I'd like to see taken out.
Yeah, and right. There's a couple. And listen, it's becoming, and I get it. If you're an old school cat listening to the show, watching the show, these guys now they want that old school feeling, because look, you can't pretty much touch a quarterback no more.
No, I was going to talk to you about that. I'm all in favor, Pat. I shouldn't rant about this, but I'm in favor of protecting the quarterbacks. but there was one call. Tom McCarthy was calling the Bills-Cardinals game. They didn't even touch Kyler Murray, and they called him for 15 yards. It's like I'm all in favor of protecting the quarterbacks, but it's getting to the point where if you even breathe on them or sneeze on them, it's gotten too ridiculous with the calls on the roughing the quarterbacks.
And that's becoming an issue again because quarterbacks and are grown up. They can hit all that stuff. It's part of the game, but quarterbacks are the most important position on the field. They make the most money. That's your franchise piece. So, and I get it why they protect them, but also, like you said, you're taking the fun out of the game.
And what are your thoughts on the Jordan Love injury? I'm hearing from the Green Bay Packer fans and the anti-Eagle fans, oh, it was a cheap shot by Jalen Carter. But to me, I don't think it was a dirty hit. It was just an unfortunate play for Love at the end of that game.
No, listen, Green Bay fans, and everyone's going to talk through what they're going to say. Listen, it was unfortunate. He tackled him at the legs. The way he came down it unfortunately came down the wrong way. He's going to be out 3 to 6 weeks. And listen, that's going to hurt their season moving forward. So until they get him back, I mean, Green Bay could be sitting in the basement for a while, that division, unless their backup comes out of nowhere and makes humongous plays.
What are your thoughts on the Eagles' backup quarterback right now?
That's a scary subject because if they do lose Jalen, you got what's called coming in here, and I've seen enough where I'd rather have Tanner McKee come through and play. To me, he's the bigger of the two quarterbacks. He's got that 6'5" reach. I think he has a little bit more to give. But knowing Howie and the way Howie thinks, I wouldn't be surprised. There's somewhere along the lines he makes a move trying to get themselves a veteran cornerback if that's where he's going to go. It's not. I get it's the Nick Foles story is a once in a lifetime thing. So, but I would go with Tanner McKee to be my second guy coming off the bench. I'm not too fan of Pittman coming in here because he's got tiny hands. And his reads are horrible. He can only throw the ball 20 yards down the field. He can't offer anything explosive. Not a fan.
That's imperative that the Eagles keep Jalen Hurts healthy because football is like hockey and baseball. If you don't have the quarterback play, goalie play, or the point guard in basketball play, you're not going to win. So it's key that the Eagles keep Hurts healthy. I want him to be able to run and be a threat as a dual quarterback, but I also don't want to see him take cheap hits or hard hits where he's going to be out, because I think the Eagles' success is going to be keyed on Jalen Hurts being healthy this year. And last year he wasn't with his knee injury.
Yeah, and listen, that's key is keeping him healthy and strong, all that stuff. We said we know stuff he could do on the field. He's a mobile quarterback. He can make plays with his feet. He can, he's got great reads, all that fun stuff. So we got to make sure he stays healthy, protect him at all costs. And scramble out of the pocket, make some plays. Got to make sure he stays healthy.
What are some concerns, Pat, for the Eagles D heading into the Monday night home opener against Atlanta?
Again, just leaving that middle of the field open. You don't want BJ Robbins making plays out there. I know he can come out of the backfield making some plays. Drake Robinson, you don't want him coming out of there from Atlanta. You don't want those guys out there, finding the open spots. And to me, they got to do a better job of getting pressure on the quarterback. I need to see more pressure.
Who's your X factor for the Eagles against Atlanta? And quick thoughts on Reed Blankenship and how big was his interception?
That was huge. I mean, you saw the Birds got touchdown off of that. That was huge. That's kind of was a game changer for the Birds to get the rock and rolling towards the end of the game. Meant a lot. My X factor for the game, I'm going to think it's going to be Goddard. I think Goddard's going to be your X factor, like I had mentioned earlier. When now the tape's out, this trying to break down AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, Goddard's going to have a lot of time to make some plays.
I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I feel he's going to have a big game against Atlanta. I can't disagree with you, Pat, on Goddard too. I thought he was going to have a monster game against Green Bay, but the Eagles have such a luxury in terms of this this unit? Obviously, it's still too early yet, but in terms of overall talent, in all those years that you've been an Eagles fan in the city of Philadelphia, do you think this team and the offense could be one of the best in the Eagles' history if they stay healthy and they can gel as a unit?
You know what? That's a good question because I've seen a lot of talented offenses, a lot of talented Eagles teams that come through here. I mean, of course, you can't knock the 04 team when OT was here, TO was here. That to me is probably, for my lifetime, has probably got to be the most talented Eagles team I've seen come through here. But 2017 teams as well. But this could be ranked up there as well. I mean, again, let's see what happens Monday night. If Monday is a dominating performance, if it's a 31-0 win, yeah, you might start questioning yourself. But we gotta let the season out. So yeah, it's too early to tell right now. I mean, look, the atmosphere feels good right now. That's for sure.
My only concern is, right now, it's still early, but when you think of the Niners and Lions, you automatically physical, tough, grinding teams. Do you feel this Eagles team can physically compete with the Niners and a team like the Detroit Lions? The Eagles, to me, are still on the finesse side.
I think they have a shot to compete with the Niners. Again, this last year was a debacle since game one. The play calling on both sides of the ball were horrible. Nobody was listening to their head coach. All that fun. I mean, it's amazing. Even with all the debacles, I mean, they were able to be 10-1. Now, you listen, the Niners were playing with a revenge tour for the Birds. I mean, it was a revenge tour ever since getting knocked out of the playoffs. And listen, people don't want to hear it. Bird's the real deal. He could play. To me, the Birds, if they can keep this, they can hang just with anybody. They can hang with the Lions. They can hang, like I said, one of the few teams around here put an X amount of numbers. So, but yeah, it's again, this is to me a lot of fun because the Birds and Niners rivalry is it going to be intriguing for years to come just because of the two quarterbacks at hand with Birdie and Jalen Hurts.
What's your overall assessment on Jalen Hurts, and is there concerns about his turnovers? Do you feel that they can work with him and get him to make better decisions with the football? The one fumble happened, but I really don't blame Hurts there. I think it was just because of the new center Cam Jordans. But the two interceptions, the second one where it was what, 3rd and 10,
Yes.
and they were going to get at least 3 points, and he forced the ball into the secondary, and that ended up being a touchback, and that hurt the team there too.
Right. So I think he could be a better playmaker. I know it's there. We've seen it. His mechanics needs to be worked on a little bit more. But I mean, as long as he can move the chains, make the dynamic plays that needs to make, find the open guys. If he can't find the open guy, he knows what go option 2 and run it. But today, yeah, he definitely needs to make a better decision because it looked like again. He desperation throws the ball and looked like this. He could have been picked off 3 times because the one came right into the garage basket to the one defender, and he's lucky he didn't come up with it. But yeah, he's definitely got to be a better playmaker, especially come Monday night. And yeah, he's got to clean that stuff up. He's got to do his reads better. That's one thing I'll give Carson. Carson never threw the ball away. Carson would always he'd rather take the sack or throw the ball in. He never really had that, desperate ball where he just launched into someone else's hands. He always took it. He'd rather take the sack. So I'll give Carson that.
But speaking of Carson Wentz, it's weird seeing him in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform.
yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's just weird. I mean, this guy went from being an MVP, being an MVP to now to to the backup scene,
to a journeyman. He's basically gone from a franchise, a once in a lifetime franchise quarterback in Philadelphia to now a journeyman quarterback at the end of his career as a backup.
As an end of career backup. I mean, it's just one. I mean, I thought the sky was the limit with him. I mean, I saw him put up 50 burgers against the Broncos. I seen him beat the daylights out of the Steelers. I mean, this is a guy who just after that leg injury. And I think, to me, and I love the Eagles, but call for what it is. Ever since they put the statue of Nick Foles and Dougie P, the Philly special in front of that stadium, I mean, I think that hit his heart, and it was never the same after that. It was just never the same.
In Philadelphia sports, you've seen it with all the teams. To me, Carson Wentz and Ben Simmons. Who is the biggest disappointment in those two guys?
That's been a question for years because, man, it's what 2017, 2018 guys had, fans around here had high hopes for both those players being key franchise guys, going to bring us multiple parades. Ben Simmons, I would think, was the bigger disappointment because at least Carson got you there. Carson showed you his dominance. Carson made a lot of plays. Unfortunately, that's always going to be this mystery story. If he never would have got hurt, would he have gotten the Super Bowl done? That's always going to be the mystery question. And for Ben Simmons, just again, everything he could do on the court, the vision he's got, the way he can play defense, the way he can facilitate. But if you can't shoot the ball, I mean, and we have nothing for you. We had nothing for you.
What are your thoughts on the upcoming opponent, the Atlanta Falcons, and what are some keys to an Eagle win over Atlanta on Monday Night Football? And are you going to be at the link?
No, I won't be at the link, but I will be watching, and I'll be getting ready to pump out an Eagles article here on the EOP. But the things you got to look out for, again, just maintaining Kirk Cousins, get to him early. You got to get in his head early because if you do that, he gets fatigued, especially the lights are big. Like I said, he's 3-10 on Monday Night Football. So he does not play well when the lights are bright. So if you get to him early, get into his head, hit him, if maybe a Zach Ball comes up with a couple sacks, whatever, get to him early, you should be fine. And then for the Birds offense, just do what you're doing before. Keep on rocking and rolling. Study some more tape, see what the Steelers were doing on Sunday. Take some, and mix that in there and, do your thing.
For me, it's going to be a strong start. And then number 2, clean game, no turnovers.
Right.
And number 3, get on Kirk Cousins. I think the first quarter, if they can just do everything right, I think they can easily win this game. I think they can win this game by double digits. We'll see what happens there. I wanted to ask you this. What did you think of the black pants and the black helmet look? And what do you think they'll be wearing for opening night at the Lincoln? How crazy will it be for their true home opener on Monday in Philadelphia?
Well, you know what, Chris, that's a great point. You know what, I wasn't too much. I just want to see the gameplay. I mean, for instance, they could wear orange for all I care. It's just I was just glad to see the Eagles finally take the field, get it, loose, finally rural football, season football, open season football. I like it. But getting back to the link is like it's going to be wild because this city is going to be rocking and rolling Monday Night Football. I mean, guys will be out there at 10 o'clock in the morning drinking it up. I've seen videos, guys will sit here in 30-degree weather and start pounding booze down, sitting in the jacuzzi. I mean, this talent gets nuts for this Eagles team. And it's coming out 1-0. The way they take on Bark play now, they showed life in this team. Yeah, for sure. This town's going to be rock and rolling all in green come Monday night.
Any plans to honor Kelsey and Cox on Monday night at the home opener?
I didn't hear anything about that. But I mean, if they do, I mean, listen, well deserved. You know what I mean? Those two guys will go down. They're obviously going to be Hall of Fame, maybe more so for Kelsey. Those guys were absolutely playmakers to this town.
Just a couple more questions, Pat, and we'll wrap this up. What is the latest with the Edge of Philly Sports, and will you be covering the Philadelphia Wings of the National Lacrosse League this upcoming season? And just quick thoughts on the demise and fold of Panther City in the National Lacrosse League.
Yeah, well, first with Edge of Philly Sports, and listen, if for anyone out there checking out the podcast, please go hit our subscribe button. We have tons of shows. Monday through Sunday, rather, excuse me. We're always loaded. We got our guy Phil Stifle, who starts us off every Monday through Friday, every morning, 8:00 a.m. He does a great job covering Philadelphia sports. We got guys like Matty B, Big Al Safiri, who runs this whole network here. These guys over here, they grind. Of course, you guys know all lacrosse all the time with Gary Group, Muffalo Mike and Sean Slaw. Those guys are. I'm proud to be part of this network because I am surrounded with guys who are driven and want to do the best. Best work ever. These guys here are hungry dogs, and they bring the best out of me. So I appreciate it. But and it's funny you brought up about the Wings. I will be covering. And matter of fact, for you wing heads, Paul Day will be joining my show this Sunday morning. So yes, I am going to get inside the mind of one Paul Day and ask him about all these offseason moves that the Philadelphia Wings have made. Of course, stepping down as the head coach and just want to focus on just being the GM, which I totally respect. So yeah, it's going to be crazy it's going to be crazy. I'm looking towards our interview come this Sunday morning. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Panther City, a matter of fact, when I was covering the Wings, one of their guys gave me their business cards, possibly come check out their team. And yeah, it stinks. It stinks. The demise of Panther City, unfair.
I was told that area is becoming a lacrosse area, but obviously they didn't have the right ownership or market it. And unfortunately, they didn't have enough time to move that team to another city because obviously the New York Riptide relocated to Ottawa to be the Black
Right.
Bears, which I think is a great move. I think Ottawa will be a very good National Lacrosse League team. I really think Montreal, Seattle, Edmonton would be great teams as well. It's just unfortunately about Panther City, but the National Lacrosse League, I will be back covering the world champion back-to-back Buffalo Bandits with John Tavares back and Steve Dittrich, and they're going to have their core back. And I'm hoping to see the Wings in Buffalo this year or see a game in Philadelphia. The game of national. What overall, Pat? Just quickly, do you find the indoor box game, lacrosse game, is growing in Philadelphia? And if the team could turn it around and be more competitive, do you feel the support will be there?
Well, that's going to be the whole key. Can this team turn around from what they were last year? Home stands only 2-8. Paul Day being very emotional. I asked him the question. I said, Paul, is there more pressure playing on the road or at home than is on the road? I mean, and he got very emotional about it. If you guys go to our Edge of Philly Sports, you can catch that interview or go to any of our social media links, you catch it. I mean, he got emotional about it. I mean, he really does wear Philadelphia on his sleeve. I've seen him get emotional. I've seen him get frustrated with his team. So it just like he's like your typical Philadelphian walking around here, nuts and ready to lose it when this team is not performing well. But yes, if the team, listen, one thing about Philadelphia as a whole is this is a very, very sports passionate city. And if you're winning, you catch people's eyes around here. Matter of fact, the MLS soccer got their TV ratings 2 years ago went up by 20% when the Philadelphia Union. Yeah, when Philadelphia Union were in the finals, they went up 20% because it was a Philadelphia team. And listen, many people may not follow. Hey, listen, you might be a hockey, football, and baseball fan, but if your basketball team makes it to the finals, everyone keeps their eyes. So it's like a weird support system. You might not be a fan of the sport, but if one of your teams from the city, are making a run, all eyes go towards you. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Philadelphia Wings can turn around. Listen, being the Wells Fargo Center with the Flyers and the Sixers, yeah, like I said, if they could get things rocking and rolling, this season, and Paul Day has made tons of moves. So if he get things rocking and rolling, get some W's, people's eyes will be turning around towards the city.
The last time I had you on my show, Pat, was in July, just when the Phillies went into their months-long funk. Hopefully this doesn't happen again after we do our show tonight. But it looks like the Phillies have righted the ship, and they look mighty. Detroit Tigers are only 3 games now out of a wild card spot with 18 games to go. So I'm hoping the Tigers can get into the playoffs and overcome the Twins. But the Phillies, do you find this team should get to the World Series again this year?
Well, that's what we got here, Chris. If for the Phillies, it's World Series or bust. Nothing else, nothing less. They got to win it, the whole thing. I mean, because you had such a hot start, you were top of the mountain for so long. You backpedaled a little bit. You're going through a funk. You're going through some rough patches. but now you've found a way to start winning again, start making contact, making Ranger Suarez is back with the team. Guys are starting making better contact. The bottom of the lineup is starting to come through. Rojas is starting to come through. Bryson Stott is starting to come around. Brandon Marsh is starting to hit the ball better. Kyle Schwarber is hitting the ball better. He's been racking up home runs back, left and right. So the team's starting to come around. There are a couple of things that eye pop in me, just fundamental baseball stuff that I see this team making mistakes that they could be playing, doing a lot better on. But however, the pitching, to me, you got Zach Wheeler, who's looking really, really sharp. Aaron Nola, when he has a bad game, it's not just one bad pitch. It's he gets thumped up. So you need to. That's going to be to me, that's your X factor moving forward with this team. If he's hot, if he could play hot baseball, the rest of the team, Suarez is playing better. Christopher Sanchez is playing a lot better as a pitcher. They got better closers. Estevez, Carlos Estevez, all those guys. They're looking really good right now. The sky's the limit for this team. The only thing that scares me are these teams that people are really not paying attention to that kind of have the Phillies number. I don't want to be in the series with the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are not. They don't fear the Phillies fans coming here in Red October. They will. They had stuff just like Nick Castellanos said to us in the press box. They were throwing pitches those guys never saw before. That was something they weren't used to. And like I mentioned, they're not fair. They don't fear this Phillies team. They don't fear the fan base either. So they tune those guys out. The Mets are someone you need to pay attention to. Mets have probably the hottest team in baseball right now, starting to get roll hot at the right time. So I don't know if I win a lot of coins with them. And we're going to get here in Philadelphia. We have the Mets coming up here we have 2 series with the Mets coming up. We're going to have them for 7 games. So to me, that's where it lies. I don't fear the Dodgers. Don't fear the Brewers. I've seen the Phillies steamroll them. I've seen them steamroll the Padres. It's just the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks to me and the Mets, even though they're fighting for the wild card spots, I don't want to tangle with either or.
I'm not sold on the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers won the World Series in 2020. They've had great regular seasons, but to me, they sort of remind me of the Phillies of the 70s. Great regular season teams, but the playoffs are a different story, and I just don't know if they can get the job done in the playoffs again, unlike they took the 2020 shortened street season. Hey, got to ask you this. I was a fan of Kyle Schwarber when he played for the Cubs. I think he's in better shape and conditioning than he was with Chicago and Boston. And I was skeptical about having him as a leadoff hitter, but he's been a perfect leadoff hitter for the Philadelphia Phillies. And to me, I know Bryce Harper is the engine of this offense, but Kyle Schwarber to me is just as important, and he kind of stirs the offense with his team.
Yeah, you know what, Chris, you bring a good point, because for years when Schwarber got here, and we know the power he brings, a lot of Philly fans were confused, saying, well, why don't we just put him into the cleanup position? He'll be fine. We can, get some guys on base, and then he can just, do his thing. But one thing with Rob Thompson, his best attributes for guys, or where these guys are most comfortable, he's not comfortable being in the cleanup duty role. He's comfortable being the leadoff. And that's, in this town, it's hard to do, because if you think about previous leadoff guys, Jimmy Rollins and such, it's a little thing, that's a little hard to live up to. So, but no, I mean, he holds his own. A little concerning. His strikeout ratio is a little back up there. He's like top 3 again. So that's concerning to me. But I mean, his power, I mean, you can't deny it. And it's one thing, his long ball is absolutely amazing to watch.
Saw that in Toronto when the Phillies were in Toronto a couple weeks ago, and he had 3 home runs and 7 RBIs against the Blue Jays. And the Phillies were down 6-0 in the one game, and they came back to win, I think, 10-9.
Yeah. And right. And you saw he would start the game with a home run, and he would end the game with a home run. I mean, yeah, he's got some monster numbers as far as his long ball. But yeah, if he could continue doing his thing, like I said, if this bottom lineup is hitting well, Trey Turner gets hot again, look out for the Phils. I mean, look out. So, but yes, the thing is here, it's World Series bust. Nothing less, nothing more.
Just like Super Bowl bust for the Eagles too.
Mm-hmm. These teams got their limitations, so hopefully it all comes through.
Hey, finally, Pat, where can my audience follow you on social media and the Edge of Philly Sports, and just promote your Edge of Philly Sports podcast and shows? And by the way, my next guest is a former WWE legend. the former Intercontinental Champion, 3-time Tag Team Champion, Jacques Rougeau is going to be on my show on Friday at 5 o'clock.
Nice. The Mountie. You gotta love
Yes.
the Mountie. Yeah, listen, you guys can follow me, Pat from Ambler, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. Follow me there. Follow Edge of Philly Sports, all your social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, you name it. We're everywhere. YouTube. Go to our, you can Google us at edgeofphillysports.com. Get linked up with all of our articles, all of our shows. I mean, like I said, a couple years, so Friday, Sunday is going to be my 6-year anniversary. I started with this. I created my own company called Devro Sports, and I linked up with Edge of Philly Sports. So now, I couldn't be prouder being with a group of guys who are just hungry and passionate and really want to drive. And these guys, they take this serious. These guys take their notes. They study the games. They study everything. Gary does a great job with, lacrosse. We got the Steel Step guys. They do a great job with pro wrestling. They cover pro wrestling. They cover WrestleMania 40. They did a great job doing that. So, I mean, these guys over here, of course, you got the Attack and Third with me on Sunday mornings now at 8 a.m. with our guy, Steve Fenentes. We cover that. We cover the Union. They are only, Saturday will be their biggest game of the year because they got Inter Miami. And if Messier is there, it's going to make that game more and more intriguing to watch. So we got that going on. Then, of course, you catch me 9 o'clock on Sunday morning as well with PM and AM. It's anything goes. Me and Mike Lara, we don't agree on anything. So it's not no scripts. We just naturally fight.
And that's what I'm doing with my new my Toronto Argonauts podcast show too. We've done it for a couple years now, and I told my co-host, I said, listen, you have your opinions, I have my opinions. I said it makes for a better show if we don't always agree on everything. And I think the more you do something, Pat, the better you get at it. And you can have disagreements about stuff, and you can be professional about it too.
Well, yeah, that's right. And me and Mike are like two Italian brothers. We'll punch each other in the chest, and then we'll hug it out right after the show. So, yeah, we're like I said, it's a great show. Like I said, we don't ever agree on anything. But at the end of the day, I love that guy. He's a good, hardworking guy. Again, great addition to the network. But yeah, like I said, these guys over here, they're grinding every day over here, trying to make this a better product and a better show. So, and if you're not on at 100%, we will advise, hey, listen, just go take a back seat somewhere because we can't deal slashes on this team.
Hey, Pat, I want to say thank you so much for coming on my show for the 4th time. You're kind of my Philadelphia insider for the Eagles, Sixers, Phillies. Soccer, I need to pay more attention to. It's a great sport. I just never really paid attention to it, but I do cover 7 or 8 different sports, and I definitely do want to see a Philadelphia Wings game this year, either in Buffalo or come down to Philly. But I will come down to Philadelphia, and we'll have a beer and a cheesesteak as well.
Oh, there you go. Well, listen, Chris, you're getting like me. Guys around here ask me, how do I sleep? Because I cover Wings, I cover the
Love
Union.
it. It's a passion. It's a passion.
Especially this time of year where playoffs are getting in touch now, especially October. You'll have playoff baseball, playoff soccer. You'll have
CFL playoffs starting in October.
You got that going on. You have Eagles, Sixers, Flyers getting started. And
lacrosse in December,
and then you got lacrosse coming in December. So I eat and breathe this stuff. I mean, my wife thinks I'm a loser. I got no life, but hey, listen, this is what she married, so it's on her. No, but yeah, this is great, man. I love being on part of this show. I love being on here with you. Like I said, I'm becoming like a natural to the show anymore.
Absolutely. And our show will air probably tomorrow night on WQE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern in sports. Pat, I'm going to let you go, but I want to say thank you so much for coming on here. You have an open invite to come back on anytime, and I will definitely let you know when I can get up to Philadelphia and have a beer and a cheesesteak. And I want to go to an Eagles game so badly at the link. I've seen them on the road.
Yeah, listen,
in Philadelphia with those fans.
Yeah, listen. Matter of fact, the only the picture we have up there, so it's my wife's aunt has season tickets right there. We call that the bird nest right up there, where all the retired jerseys up there. That's like the town house, and then to the left is the press. On the other side here is the press box. So, and I covering NCAA lacrosse, I felt like Rudy walking through the Eagles locker room and
Awesome.
I mean, when I got the chance to step on the field last year and this year, it's like I could feel my legs start to shake because I've been wanting to stay on that field since I was a little boy, and just to go walk through the field and all that stuff, and I felt my legs start to shake. I was just like, man, oh man! And by the way, last year I got to meet Dick Vontel, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And I've met a number of celebrities doing my media work too.
I see that. I see you're a
workhorse. I love it. I love it. And as much as I love doing this show virtually, I love doing player and manager and coaches interviews live in person as well. And when I do come up to Philadelphia, Pat, we'll have to do a live in person interview as well. But hey, I'm going to let you go. I hope you have a good night.
You too, man.
Hope your kid doing well, and we'll keep in touch on social media, and go Birds, and we'll talk to you soon, Pat.
All right, Chris. See you later, buddy.
Thank you so much, Pat.
See you, buddy. Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed season 8, episode 46, overall 431 tonight, sponsored by BarryCullen.com. That was Pat Bernard, a reporter with the Edge of Philly Sports, a podcaster, and he covers a number of professional sports teams in Philadelphia, including the National Lacrosse League's Philadelphia Wings and the Philadelphia Union as well. Before we wrap up our show, guys, I have a big announcement to make. The next live CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by BarryCullen.com and on WQEE 99.1 FM, is going to be Friday, September 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, former WWE legend Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie, part of the fabulous Rougeau tag team with his brother Raymond, and also a member of the tag team called the Quebecers that won the tag team titles 3 times. So Jacques Rougeau is going to come on, and we're going to talk about Loot Academy, Wrestling Academy 2024, taking place on September 28th in Montreal, Quebec. It's basically, you know how the TV show is called America's Got Talent. This is basically a version of Canada's Got Wrestling Talent. So Loot Academy, Wrestling Academy 2024. Jacques Rougeau is going to tell us about the quarterfinals taking place September 28th in Montreal, and he'll have all the details of the male and female wrestlers competing. So Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, Jacques Rougeau. Please tune in. And again, I want to say thank you to Pat Bernard from Edge of Philly Sports for coming on here tonight. Before we wrap up this show, guys, I was down in Buffalo 3 weeks ago, and I did an interview with one of the Toronto Blue Jays top draft picks down with the Buffalo Bisons, and his name is Damiano Parmigiani, and I'm going to play that interview right now. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you already haven't done so yet. Good morning, everybody. This is Chris Palme, radio host of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia. I'm back here at Salem Field for today's game at 1:05 between the Omaha Storm Chasers, the top farm team of the Kansas City Royals, taking on the Buffalo Bisons, the top farm team of the Toronto Blue Jays. I have a special guest with me this morning, and his name is Damiano Parmigiani, and he's from British Columbia. Morning, Damiano. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thoughts on last night's loss to Omaha?
Yeah, they first time we played them. Obviously, they're a really good team, and they got to us early. Caprilion's a great pitcher, and they must have either had a good scouting report or they just had it that day, and they got up to an early lead. But, we settled in pretty well, made all the plays we needed to make after a tough first inning. And then, we hit pretty well. I wish we hit a little better with runners in scoring position, maybe had a little bit better luck. But I'm excited to see Cap face him again on Sunday because, he's a great pitcher and I'm sure he's going to come back strong. So,
can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself and some of your early baseball influences and mentors in your career?
Yeah, born in Venezuela. Obviously, baseball is a big part of the culture down there. So my family has been well immersed in the baseball community early. I had uncles who really loved playing and going to games and whatnot. So I guess that's where the love comes from. And when I moved to Canada, there actually was and still is a really good youth baseball programs everywhere, really good growth opportunities. So it was actually very easy to pick up baseball in Canada. I didn't feel like it was like a lesser sport or anything like that. So picked it up in Canada, and that's where I really fell in love and made it what it is today for me.
When people think of Canada, they obviously think of hockey, lacrosse, beer, and that. But Canadian baseball has come a long ways in the last 2 decades. Thoughts on Joey Votto being on the Bisons?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Baseball, in Canada, it seems like winter is for hockey and summer's for baseball, and that's how it's been everywhere I've been in Canada. So it makes sense why it's grown the way it has. Joey's a perfect example of the reason why I play baseball, and a lot of kids from Canada, guys who are making it to the big leagues, or guys who are going to be in the big leagues from Canada, because you see someone who's from Canada, grew up in Canada, got out, went outside of Canada to play and pro and made it. So that just having that representation from Joey is awesome. He's, from my generation's best player of all time, Canadian baseball player of all time. So, it's been awesome to see him here, learn from him, and just see him at his point in this point in his career. He's got so much to offer for all the young guys. So.
Just quick thoughts on the Buffalo Bisons organization and living in Buffalo and being a part of the Toronto Blue Jays organization.
It's awesome. The city of Buffalo is great. The Blue Jays and the Bisons organization, they treat us really, really well. I couldn't have asked for a better setup, living, food, transportation, everything. No complaints on my end. It's just a great opportunity for us. We're spoiled, and it makes it easier for you to put on the uniform and play as hard as you can for an organization that does a lot for you.
What's your favorite food? I was going to hint chicken wings.
So I'm not a huge wings guy. I know Barbell is one of the best spots for wings, but for me, I like coffee shops, and Jack's Corner Coffee is my favorite place to go. Recommend it to everyone. And that's favorite spot.
What's a couple fun facts about you?
I think a lot of people still don't know I speak Spanish. I still speak it at home with my family. It was my first language. At this point, I speak English better, but some people don't know, because I guess I don't really have like an accent or anything, but it's English and Spanish.
And finally, what's 2 words to describe you as a player, and what are you looking to improve upon in the second half of the Bisons?
2 words would be motivated and intense. I like to just keep the foot on the gas, regardless of how it's going. And things I'm looking to improve on. Defense is awesome, is very important to me. I'm very proud of the steps I've taken at third, at first, and now in the outfield. So main priority for me is just to be, as best as a defender as I can be, and I know I will be. And then as a hitter, just continue growing as a hitter. Be a good hitter with power instead of just a power hitter. You know what I mean?
And then finally, where can my audience follow you on media?
So I just have Instagram, Damiano_P24. I don't post a lot, but, that's what I'm working with.
Well, Damiano, thank you so much for doing this interview, and continued success in the second half with the Buffalo Bisons.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, that was Damian Parmigiani from the Buffalo Bisons. He's one of the Blue Jays' top prospects down with the Buffalo Bisons. And I will be back at Salem Field in about a week and a half to cover the Bison series against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rural Riders, as the Bison season is coming to an end. There is some news from the Bisons today. Toronto Blue Jays shortstop Bo Bichette, who's on a rehab assignment down in Buffalo, and they're down in Gwinnett. Right now playing the Gwinnett Braves, the top farm team of the Atlanta Braves. So I'm not sure Bo Bichette will be with the Bisons next week when they return to Buffalo, but I will be back there for a couple more games, and I will do some more interviews with the Buffalo Bisons. And I want to say thank you to Pat Malacaro and the Buffalo Bisons organization. They are a top class organization, and you can check out their website at bisons.com And if you've never been to a Bisons game or a minor league baseball game, check out Salem Field in downtown Buffalo. It's right off the 190 exit 6, and there's parking right around the ballpark. And the tickets are very affordable. And you see future major league stars in Buffalo as well. Guys, if you're looking for a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society, 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. Dogs like Fleetwood, Banana are up for adoption there, Apollo, and you can check out all the animals that are up for adoption. cambridgehumanesociety.org. If you're looking to volunteer, you can do it through their website as well. And they are doing a monthly 50-50 raffle through their website. And when you go on cambridgehumanesociety.org, click on events, and you'll see where you can purchase tickets for their monthly draw, and the proceeds from the raffle goes to the programs at the Cambridge and District Humane Society, and they do a great job there as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is hosted by yours truly, Chris Pomay, is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Our radio station's website is wqeefm.radio12345.com. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. You can also check out my website and all my media work at beacons.ai/Chris D. Pomay. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show again is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for their newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or in some cases Cadillacs. And you can also call the dealership at 519-824-0210, or email the dealership with questions and stuff, comments at email at info@barrycullen.com. Sometimes I talk faster. Live with CDP merchandise is coming. I've got a new logo, and I am working on getting some shirts done. I will let you guys know, and I'm excited about the new look t-shirts and my new logo. I am also on TikTok at Live with CDP. So if you'd like to see all my content, check out my TikTok page at Live with CDP. And I want to say thank you to my 2,430 followers on TikTok as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. And if you're a business, check out StreamYard.com and contact the sales department for business pricing. And I've been with StreamYard for now 4 years. I thank my friend Jamie Pagley, the Phillies sports guy. A little shout out for Jamie. And finally, guys, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio version is on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, TuneIn, and YouTube Music. You can also email or text Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpome19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching the show tonight. Was Pat Bernard, a reporter with the Edge of Philly Sports, watching it on live stream, on audio platforms, as well as WQE 99.1 FM. And we've got Thursday Night Football this week, 8:15. It's going to be an AFC East rival. Buffalo Bills 1-0, and Josh Allen taking on Tula, and the Miami Dolphins 1-0 as well. I forgot to ask Pat Bernard about the Tyreek Hill situation with the Miami Dolphins, but next time we have Pat on, I will ask him about that. And the Buffalo-Miami game, I really think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it's going to be entertaining, and it's a huge game because one of these teams is going to go 2-0. to start the season. And Buffalo, Miami, I think, are going to be the top 2 teams in AFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles don't play until Monday, September 16th at 8:15 against the Atlanta Falcons. And for Michigan, they're back home this weekend after coming off that disappointing 31-12 loss to Texas at Michigan Stadium to end their 23-game winning streak. And the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League are back in action this Friday night, September 13th at 10 o'clock on the West Coast, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 on the West Coast, as the Argos take on the BC Lions. And the Detroit Tigers, 73-71. 3 games out of a wild card spot, are home to against the Colorado Rockies, and they were up 5-0 tonight. The Tigers still have a chance to get a wild card spot. They have 18 games left. If the Tigers can go 13-5, that's my prediction. If they can go 13-5 and win about 86 games, I really feel the way they're playing, and Minnesota is struggling right now, I think the Tigers can get in there as well. And that's about it for tonight, guys. I want to say thank you to Pat Bernard from the Edge of Philly Sports for coming on, and to WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and Barry Cullen Chevrolet for sponsoring this show. I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you back here Friday night, September 13th. I know, Friday's September 13th. I know it can be an unlucky day. For me, it is a lucky day at 5 p.m. because Jacques Rougeau, aka the Mountie, is going to come on, and we're going to talk professional wrestling with Jacques Rougeau and his Wrestling Academy 2024 taking place in September in Montreal, Quebec. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you back here Friday night, 5 o'clock with Jacques Rougeau.